Okie dokie. All right. Here we go. Let's roll it. Okay, so what do we got today? We have hopefully my my other microphone. I got to do some work on it. I've gone through 3 microphones of the good. So I'm back down to this one, which has been the case. Hopefully I'll get that fixed very soon. Adrian LaRouche is speaking. But I guess we're going to look at this news. Carney, first of all, Carney apparently has some news about the auto pact. We just did an announcement, unless it's the old one, which I'm sure he just put it on his Wrecking Ball Politics. No. It's not in the CBC yet. Federal government loans $1.1 billion to Canada Post as Postal Service continues to struggle. The Hamilton soldier who died in Latvia, he's being buried. They're burying him today. Sebastian Halmagyan. Sebastian will be buried today. So there's that today. That's happening. I imagine that's will be a proper. The Hamilton soldier who died in Latvia last month is being, this is CBC, buried today in Burlington, Ontario. Sebastian Halmagyan, 24, died in the Latvia capital of Riga on 29th of January, according to Canada's DND. Circumstances around his death are under investigation. They're not in the war zone. At least they didn't say it was a training accident, as they used to say back in the day. They were saying he was in theater or somewhere within theater. Not sure what that means, right? Of course. We have someone here. What did you say here? I got your comment. Hello. Yeah, so through that, there's this auto pack thing. I'll look at that as the question period goes on. Another one, Cuba. Don't go to Cuba, I guess, unless you have some pretty darn good connections or some fuel or to sell. As the airports are warning, they put out a call to all the pilots. It's like a pilot that NOTAM. It's a NOTAM, and it was so they give the NOTAM. They basically said they're running out of fuel at the airports. So your plane may get in there, and then they don't have fuel for you, kerosene and all that stuff. As we know, there won't be a Bad Pigs 2, right? There's no sequel to that one. Most likely, America won't need to do anything except KBR, kick back and relax. As Venezuela was propping up the Cuban regime, if you will, because they were giving them, the Cubans were giving, soldiers. Their soldiers they're known to be good, like worldwide. They're known that they would basically hire them out, doctors and other things like that. They would hire out for fuel, so it wasn't like a cash. And so now that the Venezuelans since December stopped delivering fuel since the embargo, it's a different animal. So the Cuban regime, first it starts with the planes, and a bunch of resorts are closing down. So if you have your plans, be fully aware of that. Honestly, this auto deal, I'm thinking there's a possibility, because it was put on his on Prime Minister Mark Carney's site. Yeah, so it's from days ago, I believe. That's what it is. I apologize. I'll have to change that in the title. The auto deal, I got excited. And it just wasn't the case. Anyway, so there's that. That's going on. Basically, Venezuela is playing ball. They said they're going to go into elections, but like what happened, which everyone's fully aware of, a bunch of previous American engagements didn't work out very well when they went too fast. It's not about speed, because if you rush in the beginning, and then you got to stay there longer, right? So they're going to go towards elections, probably in a year or two. But first they have to get the people that are already thinking. What happened in Iraq is they fired all the soldiers, and then ISIS came out of the soldiers. So they're like all these soldiers who basically didn't want to have anything to do with anything else, but they didn't have any paychecks. So they're like, well, I have no money, I gotta eat. So they worked for whoever was paying. So they were extremists. They were just soldiers, right, doing what they're told. And so there's that, and they didn't do that. They're not doing that here. Soldiers are still getting paid. The government employees are still getting paid. They're just not allowing. There's no tolerance, zero tolerance for them to allow Hamas, which is basically gone, Hezbollah, Iran, to go there and use Venezuelan TV for to say America, right? That's always angered me. I know it's just plain old rhetoric, but I know. I excuse me here. I'm gonna play. I feel like Mr. Dress Up, but Mommy made me these wonderful knitted slippers. I love them for the winter. They are so nice. I like it really cold. I probably would no heat at all, but pipes can freeze and stuff like that. So. I would like it really cold, but your toes get cold. But so my mom made me these wonderful. I love them. They're not for heavy use, but they're just warming up and airy. So the regime change in Venezuela will not be done by the Americans. They will just keep it going, keep their government going until they. So nice. Love them. Until the elections, they're prepared properly for elections, right? Under this turmoil. It's not about that. And Cuba, it looks like, is going down the path of Venezuela very quickly because, like I said, all of their supporters, Russia can't afford to support Cuba anymore. They have their own problems. China has basically said, okay, whatever. Since Trump did the Panama kerfuffle, you know what I mean? He basically made Panama. There was two companies, one company on each end of the Panama Canal that they were, American assets back in the day. But when President Carter sold it for $1 back to Panama, or to Panama, all the blood and treasure for $1. The Chinese moved in. They started moving in the 90s, buying things, closer and closer and closer. And there's a lot of American ships that go through there. So on each end. So basically it was a very big security concern. But China's not the enemy. They're more of an economic adversary. But it's a slippery slope, of course, right? Right? When you have when you can't do Top Gun 2, right? You have to change certain things in the movies. Like Hollywood got captured by this, right? They got captured. So what do you think if Hollywood was getting captured and they were the powerful of America, right? They were the flag wavers for generations. What do you think happened to these smaller companies if they were like a little bit short of money this month, or next month? Of course. Just stands to reason, right? It's a pretty good outlook having today in Parliament. We're going to see quite a bit going on. A lot of committee, a lot of other items. The really good thing today, I know a lot of people won't like it, but Maha was on Bobby. I don't like to call him Bobby. Mr. Kennedy, right? Jr. Did a pretty good thing. I know a lot of people don't, with the Heritage Front anyway, and he really explained the thing. And one thing that shocked me was currently, of course, you can't rely on it only, but currently, ChatGPT and Gemini has surpassed, like ratings wise, doctor diagnosis. It's better at diagnosing than doctors. Of course, I would, you have to get your doctor to check it. But because it's AI, has a different type of mind, right? It's more of knowledge, not wisdom. And the knowledge is just, it can do it at such rapid speed where a doctor doesn't have the time to do that. They can double check and verify once they've been led down, right? That's what I believe is great about it. So AI, not gone, there's not gonna. It is actually studied, properly, like Harvard studied, better at diagnosing. And it has a higher percentage rate of properly diagnosing folks, which to me, that was a big one. There's a lot. There is a lot going on with Maha. The other one was Fruit Loops was at the top of the food pyramid, and that everyone laughed. Well, food being at the top of the Fruit Loops being at the top of the food pyramid is like, basically he said, we all know what happened. They got captured. The food pyramid government agency got captured. The whole health agency was captured by corporations. And what we hit, Bobby, Mr. Kennedy, you have to say, I apologize for eating bad food because he's very into that. He's like, apologies, Maha, for I have eaten bad food. But what he said he didn't want to go. They didn't go out and try to destroy the industrialized food and these companies that make all these wonderful, tasty foods. He's giving them incentives to bring in other items, right? So he doesn't want to smash that down, which is the best way. It's not about winners and losers. It's about everyone in America coming, realizing a problem and helping the companies that are on the top that are making lots of money change things, like taking all these oil-based food dyes out of the food, right? And all kinds of things like that. And helping them bring in healthier food lines, right? And helping, because sometimes some of the, food sciences, we could maybe end up making a good food. And if you destroy the companies that are like worth billions now, well, who's going to lead that research? The new ones that are starting to build. And I agree. I think that's great. I've never been a fan of smashing down someone who is trying to make a buck. All businesses inherently, I believe, is bad. All of it's bad. But without it, life isn't bearable, right? Like, power and all these other things. I think we just need to continually, my opinion, push everyone forward towards progress to make it better. We know it was bad, but we're going to work to make it better because this is, instead of this. All right. Is Pierre going to be on? Is it not today? I'm not sure. Pierre wasn't as much on it as he was before, which is surprising. Prime Minister Carney itinerary. I'm going to look at this news. All right, we do have news today. It came out yesterday. Excuse me. He'll be having a working lunch with the Minister of Luxembourg. Ooh, the Luxembourg. Luc Frieden. And at 12:45, he will meet with the Minister Luc Frieden. Or is it Frieden? I don't think so. I would say Frieden. Frieden. And let's see at the news. Excuse me. No. Statement. Japan. Takayama. I think I said her name wrong. Takayachi. Prime Minister Takayachi, she won a overwhelming support. So what happened was she just got elected. There was the largest argument in between Japan and China that's happened in like 100 years, 80 years. that was going back and forth. Nothing, of course, too much. It was more rhetoric and economic stuff. And then her government kind of was having a confidence issue, so they just did an election, and she just won with majority. So she had like a slim majority. She did this actions that's basically word battle with the CCP, and then called elections. Now she has like a super majority. So it's going to be Japan. Watch Japan. Japan rising. The rising sun, right? I like their flag. I don't know why I like it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it was on the 5th. Apologies. So it was on the 5th, his announcement for the auto deal. I'm not going to read that. We're going to go directly to question period. Well, statements by members. It's statements by members. There. We'll go there. Should we go gray or sepia tone? Oh, we'll keep sepia tone. Giuseppe. Okay. Just a little bit ahead here. I'm a minute or two behind. And we got an animation. Animated. All right. We're rolling.
Gag order, the Liberals. And now they want to have a commissioner to help Indigenous people implement these treaties. And now they become important, like someone to explain these incoherencies.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is important for us to consult all people, whether it's for a new pipeline or whatever the project might be. And once again, I'm coming back to the point that this legislation doesn't actually help that. We already have the mechanisms in government. We have departments, we have ministers, we have an abundance of bureaucrats. We have an auditor general. We have so many different ways that we can do that consultation with communities in Canada, and particularly with Indigenous communities in Canada.
Burton, Kawarta Lakes, a short question.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank my friend from Saskatoon for that amazing speech. And he highlighted quite well our position on this bill. We agree that government has been failing for decades to live up to the word of treaty, modern or otherwise. We appreciate the frustration the partners have had with this. The problem we have with this legislation, there is no enforcement. What are the consequences? I think the member would like to comment more.
The honourable member for Saskatoon West.
Thank you, and thank you to my colleague for that question. I think he hit on a wonderful point here, that ultimately there needs to be teeth in legislation. When we do things around here that are meant to help people, there should be ways for those reports or those mechanisms that come back from commissioners or whoever it might be to actually generate results, because ultimately that's the goal. We want results. We need results in this country, and that's something we're sorely lacking right now.
Great answer. And that brings us to 2 p.m. Alors, c'est maintenant l'heure.
It is now time for statements by members.
Members, the honourable member for Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Iranian Canadians' hearts ache every day. It is the silence after an email that never delivers, the fear when a loved one cannot be reached.
To actually generate results, because ultimately that's the goal. We want results. We need results in this country, and that's something we're sorely lacking right now.
Great answer. And that brings us to 2 p.m. Alors, c'est maintenant l'heure.
It is now time for statements by members.
Members, the honourable member for Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Iranian Canadians' hearts ache every day. It is the silence after an email that never delivers, the fear when a loved one cannot be reached, the worry that a simple act of courage will be met with violence. In our communities across BC's Lower Mainland, many are living this reality right now, with relatives and friends in Iran facing repression detention, and worse. To them, I want to say this clearly. I hear you. You are not alone. We mourn those who have been lost, including the victims of Flight PS 752, and we stand with families still seeking truth, justice, and accountability. I will keep listening to Iranian Canadians, and I will keep pressing the Government of Canada to work with partners to defend human rights and to protect our communities here from intimidation and foreign interference. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
St. Thomas More was Lord Chancellor of England and was imprisoned and executed because he refused to violate his conscience. Today, watching the sentencing of Jimmy Lai, it is impossible not to see the parallels between Moore and this modern champion of truth and justice. Jimmy Lai fled mainland China and arrived in Hong Kong as a penniless refugee at the age of 12. He went on to become an incredibly successful entrepreneur and media mogul. After the Tiananmen Square massacre, he fully oriented his resources towards freedom, democracy, and justice. Lai was baptized by another Hong Kong democracy hero, Cardinal Joseph Zen, right after the infamous handover. As a man of faith, Lai fearlessly redoubled his efforts to defend his home from tyranny. For his fight, Jimmy Lai has now been handed a 20-year prison sentence. Christians will see these events through the lens of the cross and redemptive suffering. Lai's fight for Hong Kong does not end today. It only grows through his sacrifice. Mr. Speaker, I call on the Prime Minister to speak out in support of Jimmy Lai's release.
The honourable member for Halifax.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Olympics take off, Canadians from coast to coast to coast are cheering on our Team Canada athletes. I'm especially excited to support our national women's hockey team. This is a strong team made up of talented players from across the PWHL, including Blair Turnbull from Stellarton, Nova Scotia. I want to shout out head coach Troy Ryan, who grew up in Spryfield in my riding of Halifax. As a longtime advocate for women's hockey, Troy has coached teams like the Toronto Scepters and the women's team at the 2022 Olympics. He's a proven leader and a great representative for Halifax and Canada. Congratulations to our Team Canada players and staff, and to all athletes participating in events in Milano Cortina. Canada is proud to have you representing us.
The honourable member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, it is a treat to rise today in the House to congratulate Megan Oldham on her incredible bronze medal performance at the Milan Olympics.
Absolutely.
Megan's achievement is the result of years of hard work, discipline, sacrifice, relentless effort. But the quiet determination it takes to compete on the world stage is what we saw. When Canadians watched Megan stand on the podium, they didn't just see a medal. They saw the payoff of commitment, resilience, and belief. She reminded young athletes all across Canada that excellence is built one day at a time, often far from the spotlight. So on behalf of Canadians, I want to thank Megan for representing our country so beautifully and so classfully. Her determination is incredible, and her success is a source of pride for her hometown of Parry Sound and people of Parry Sound, Muskoka, for all Canadians in sport, and for all of us here in this House. And I invite all my colleagues to congratulate Megan on her bronze medal performance.
L'honorable député.
The honourable member for La Salle-Verdun. Mr. Speaker, in my riding, housing affordability is what people care about the most. Rents are too high. Young people can't save up for a down payment. And seniors are worried that they might be kicked out of their own neighborhood.
From day one has been simple and clear. Build more homes.
Last year, I announced 2 new social housing projects in our riding. These projects are happening right now and will be creating real housing for real people in our community. With the new Canada-Quebec Housing Agreement and our collaboration with Build Canada Homes, there are more and more local projects in the works. And this housing is more than just a roof over people's head. It is stability for a family, dignity for seniors, and resilience for our community.
Building smarter and delivering results where it counts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bravo. Great job. Bravo.
The honourable member for Peace River, Westlock.
Speaker, February
22nd is Canada's National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and this is thanks to the hard work of the all-party parliamentary group to end human trafficking and modern-day slavery. Human trafficking is a crime that turns people into objects to be used and exploited. It's vicious, it's profitable, and it's happening right here in Canada. In the book of Isaiah, God calls each of us to learn to do what is right, to seek justice, and to defend the oppressed. In Canada, the vast majority of human trafficking victims are women and girls, born right here in our nation. However, we know that human trafficking can happen to anyone. And as we approach the National Day of Human Trafficking Awareness, I want to encourage my colleagues and all Canadians to do three things. Learn the signs of human trafficking, know the national hotline, 1-833-900-1010, and help raise awareness in their communities. May we be relentless, courageous, and committed as we seek to eliminate all forms of human trafficking and modern-day slavery right here in Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Compton-Stanstead. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture in Canada is a highly strategic sector. Agriculture feeds our communities, supports our economy, and enables Canada to feed the world. More than ever, we need to consider that our agriculture and agri-food sector is a pillar of our national security. Our farms are among the most productive in the world, despite a difficult climate and a short growing season. On this Canada Agriculture Day, I'd like to thank farmers in the Eastern Townships and elsewhere in the country. Feeding a nation is nothing trivial. It's absolutely critical.
Agriculture is a strategic sector. It feeds our communities, strengthens our economy, and it allows Canada to help feed the world. Food production and security are also matters of national security. In the Eastern Townships and across the country, farmers and food producers are a source of strength and pride. On this Canadian Agriculture Day, I want to recognize the essential work of those who feed us.
Bravo. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to warmly congratulate Valérie Malte, who's from l'Abeille. On Saturday, at the Milan-Cortina Olympic Games, she brought home the first Canadian medal when she got a bronze medal at the 3,000-meter long track. This is something that Saguenay, Quebec, and Canada can be proud of. She was named Female Athlete of the Year by the Canada Speed Skating Association, and she has reached the world level and the Olympic level in short track and team pursuit. This shows her exceptional talent and determination. What she's done should inspire our youth and reminds us that our regions can produce incredible talent. We are wishing her all the best for her future events and for her career. Thank you, Valérie. We are proud of you.
L'honorable député de Drummond.
The Honourable Member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, Franco Nuovo just died. We were not ready. It was almost brazen. We thought he would just be gone for a week, and now we don't know who we'll sip our coffee with on a Sunday morning. As Leonard Cohen said, hey, that's no way to say goodbye. Nuovo was a familiar voice on Quebec radio for decades. He was part of an increasingly sparse group, people who have opinions on everything, perhaps a bit of a know-it-all, tough and tender, for everything he's done, for everything he did to help young artists, for all of the fascinating interviews, the breaks, the laughter. Thank you, Monsieur Nuovo.
Honourable Member for Sackville, Bedford, Preston.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to recognize Rachel Reid, a Canadian author and a constituent in my riding of Sackville, Bedford, Preston. Yes. As of this week, 3 of Rachel's novels, all from her Game Changers book series, have spent well over a month on the New York Times bestsellers list, reaching the number 4 position for combined print and ebook fiction. Books from her series also occupy the top 5 positions on the Globe and Mail's bestsellers list for Canadian fiction. Rachel's work has found readers around the world and has even made the leap to the small screen, with the TV adaptation of her book, Heated Rivalry, of course, becoming a smash global sensation. Through her writing, she has helped expand the types of stories and perspectives that reach mainstream audiences, breaking down barriers and reminding us that Canadian stories are the best stories. I'd like to congratulate Rachel on her remarkable success. She has made our riding, our province, and our country proud, and we all can't wait to see what she does next. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Edmonton South East.
Mr. Speaker, Edmonton residents are paying the price of inaction from the Liberal extortion crisis. Every day I hear about extortionists and gangsters that are threatening families and businesses in Edmonton and across the country. Meanwhile, this government has done nothing but weaken sentencing and push catch and release bail.
The honourable member for Pontiac-Kittagan-Zibi. Mr. Speaker,
Pontiac, they still
the
make
sudden
Pontiacs?
passing of Franco Nuovo has shaken Quebec. Like many French radio listeners from throughout Canada, I counted on hearing his voice and his thoughts every Sunday morning. He was able to create special moments when the radio became a space for dialogue, culture, and exploration. His passing represents a significant loss for Quebec, which will be losing not only one of its warmest voices, this extraordinary journalist and host, but also Quebec will be losing someone who cared deeply about culture and the francophonie. For more than 5 decades, Franco informed and inspired us and brought us together. To all of his loved ones and to all those who loyally listen to his program, we'd like to offer our most sincere condolences. We are thinking of you in your grief. Thank you.
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
3 years ago, the Liberal finance minister promised Canadians he would stabilize food prices. Well, he failed. Since that promise, lettuce is up 40%, beef up 27%, and baby formula up 13%. While Liberals excuse their failure as a global phenomenon, the facts tell a different story. Canada now leads the G7 in food inflation. It's double what it was when the Prime Minister took office and twice the U.S. rate. The result? Canadians are forced to make 2.2 million visits to food banks every month, and food bank use has more than doubled under the Liberals. Now the finance minister offers another temporary rebate that won't lower the price of a single grocery item. That's not a long-term solution. It's an admission of failure with no plan to pay for it. Let's be clear. Food price inflation is a Liberal, homegrown, made-in-Canada crisis. Conservatives have a plan. Axe the industrial carbon tax, scrap the fuel standards adding 17 cents a litre, and increase competition in grocery chains. So will the Liberals drop the excuses, stop obstructing Parliament, and support a real food affordability plan, or will they keep serving up Liberal rhetoric on empty plates? Well said.
The honourable member for Argenteuil-Lac-Nation. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to speak about an important winter event that happens yearly in my riding. I'm speaking about the Canadian Ski Marathon. This year, the marathon turned 60. It was held on the 6th, 7th, and 8th of February this year, and it brings together thousands of skiers and volunteers from throughout the country. The Canadian Ski Marathon shows off our landscapes and the spirit of solidarity that brings together our communities. The route goes through Argenteuil-Lac-Nation, my riding, and one of the routes ends in the municipality of Montebello, which is a community that is proud of contributing to the success of this iconic event. I'd like to thank all of the organizers, volunteers, and municipalities that participated. Thanks to their hard work, the ski marathon has been an exceptional event for more than 6 decades. It remains a source of pride for our region and for all of Canada. Thank you.
The honourable member for Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake.
The government's decision to scrap its EV mandate confirms what Conservatives have said all along. A forced 100% EV sales target was unrealistic and only created uncertainty. That's right. Bringing back EV rebates now offers little to Canada's auto workers, including those in St. Catharines, when up to $2.3 billion in taxpayer incentives will be subsidizing U.S. auto production when the U.S. is putting U.S. tariffs on Canadian-made vehicles. Canada's auto sector sector supports hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs. Decisions affecting it should put Canadian workers in domestic production first.
That's right.
That's what our workers deserve. Yet Canadian auto workers are now left asking what their future will be when over 95% of EVs this Liberal government will promote come from outside of Canada. Sadly, under this Liberal government, no job is safe. They promised the Canada-U.S. trade deal to protect Canadian jobs, but instead are supporting foreign manufacturers. Donald Trump is smiling. Speaker, he's...
L'honorable député de Sherbrooke.
The honourable member for Sherbrooke. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the new industrial defense strategy set to be revealed in a few days, I would like to speak about the remarkable accomplishment of a business in my riding, Direct Technologies. A national competition was organized in Ottawa under the Department of National Defense Ideas Program. Direct Technologies brought home the first prize, worth $1 million, after rigorous testing by defense experts, the armed forces, the RCMP, and others. And thanks to this testing, Darrett's technology for detecting drones in an urban setting won the first prize.
They're typing.
Using unique acoustic detection technology. Sherbrooke should be proud. This award bears witness not only to Darrett Tech's innovation, but also to the vitality of our research ecosystem. I'd like to warmly congratulate their team. You are making Sherbrooke proud, and you are increasing security and innovation in Canada. Thank you.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for
Here comes the chair. All right, who do we got? Oh, no Pierre
Life is getting
again.
harder for young people after a decade of this government. Finding a place to live is harder because home prices, rents, and mortgages have doubled. Getting a job is harder because youth unemployment is still double the national average. And even buying groceries is harder because food inflation is up 100% under this Prime Minister's watch. After paying for the basics, there's barely anything left, and often nothing at all. How can anybody on that side of the House stand behind a record that has completely failed an entire generation of Canadians?
Eat healthier,
Honourable
cheap
Minister
food.
of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way as this government has supported Canadians in what undeniably is an uncertain time, they have fought against, Mr. Speaker. Conservatives have stood up time and time again against Canadian families, against Canadian workers, against Canadian children, voting down, Mr. Speaker, things like school food programs, enhancements to EI, work and support for families, early learning and childcare. Mr. Speaker, no matter the solution, all they can do is obstruct and get in the way.
That's right. Honourable member for Thornhill.
The minister can pretend that everything is fine, but she's clearly not listening to anything anybody says in here. So maybe she'll listen to Miriam from Toronto. She's 26. She works 12-hour shifts as a nurse and told CTV News that, quote, saving for a home is completely out of reach right now. She said that she's barely making ends meet, even after going to school, getting a good-paying job, and doing everything that she was told to do. So is this minister really saying to young people who have done everything right that they should just lower their standards and accept a future of just getting by?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is saying to young people is you can help us build big things in this country. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? Canadian young people are stepping up to help. All across the country, Canadian youth have been taking advantage of skills training, Mr. Speaker, in partnership with provinces just like Ontario to make sure that as we build big things, they're on the front line in the skilled trades, building bigger, building better. But you know what, Mr. Speaker? These conservatives will vote again and again and again against the very people they say they help, including young people. You know, in that own riding of Thornhill.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South.
She got overtime.
The last 10 plus years have been incredible if you're a well-connected
Broussard, I think he's one of the best.
friend or have business connections to the Prime Minister. Every leading indicator says the Canadian economy is in free fall, and while they get to gorge on the all-you-can-take taxpayer buffet, auto workers, tradespeople, families, and single moms who are struggling to pay rent and mortgages, young people who've lost hope, and seniors who can't afford groceries are being told they've never had it so good. What happened to all the grand promises of the last election? Wasn't it more about Liberal self-preservation than solutions to fix the self-inflicted wounds they've caused over the last 10 years?
The Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
We have a plan to attack affordability across this country that starts with housing, but it certainly extends to tax breaks like we saw in these recent weeks with the groceries. And we had a tax break for 22 million Canadians last year. So, Mr. Speaker, we're delivering on affordability. We're focused on a first-time homebuyers tax break up to $50,000 and building homes, affordable homes for young Canadians at an unprecedented scale. Thank you.
The honourable member for Barrie South Innisfil.
Every metric, every problem Canadians faced before the last election is getting worse. Food costs have doubled. Food bank use has doubled. Housing starts are almost non-existent. We're seeing mass layoffs and plant closures across all sectors of our economy. The interprovincial trade barrier still exists. Still, no trade deal with the U.S. $500 billion in investment capital have left Canada. Deficits are ballooning, and Canada's debt is at record levels. In the last election, they promised affordability, lower prices, and real relief for Canadians. So after a year of higher costs and broken promises, which part of that do the Liberals actually think that they've delivered on?
Maybe the member doesn't know, but we're in the middle of a trade war, Mr. Speaker. But despite that, Canada's economy has been resilient. Canadians have created over 160,000 jobs since September. Wages are rising. Inflation is now within the target range, but we're not stopping there, Mr. Speaker. We're building big, building bold, and building now. With Canadian lumber, Canadian steel, and Canadian unionized workers, Mr. Speaker, we're making the largest infrastructure investment in Canadian history to strengthen communities, create more jobs, create long-term careers in the trades. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives continue to object, play games in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, we're working for Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent Akiawenrak. Mr. Speaker, what could be more essential than food? We cannot live if we do not eat our fill. And yet, sadly, all Canadian families are facing the worst food inflation of all G7 countries. Food inflation is 6.2%. Our food basket costs twice as much here as it does in the United States. And in Canada, food banks are overwhelmed. When will the government take real, effective action to combat food inflation and to get results?
And it's not just getting their food, that works, but it's destroying their home.
Thank you very much,
That's
Mr.
how
Speaker.
you get rid of animals.
Indeed, grocery prices are rising. We are aware of that, and that's why we are in solution mode. We put forward a clear solution to this Parliament, and our solution is supported by the Conservatives. We will give $1,200 to a family of 4. We are here to help Canadians through these tough times of food inflation. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent Akiawenrak. What we need are real results with long-term, tangible impacts. Last weekend in Quebec City, I was doing groceries, and I ran into a grocery store manager. He came up to chat with me, and he told me that he was disheartened. Now, parents are stealing or shoplifting food. That's the state of affairs. And the fact check on this is that the Canadian Council of Retailers estimates that $9 billion worth of food is being stolen from groceries. When will the government take real action to combat food inflation for the long term? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are here. We are here for the long term. Our measure is for a period of 5 years. We will be able to support families through this time of rising grocery costs. But we are here for people through other programs. We have the Canada Child Benefit, for instance. We have the National School Food Program. And good news, the government of Quebec and the federal government just signed an agreement for that. We're there for families. We're there for children. We're there for Canadians from coast to coast to coast. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Minister revealed that 85,000 retirees have been experiencing problems with their old age pensions due to the QRAM software. In some cases, these problems have been going on for up to 9 months. The government was warned by its own public servants as early as this summer. And yet, even today, all the government can come up with to say is, if there are any individual cases, give us those people's names. Mr. Speaker, with 85,000 individuals affected, we are well beyond the point of dealing with isolated cases. We're facing another fiasco like the Phoenix fiasco or the passport crisis. Why did the Liberals wait until 85,000 people were affected before reacting? The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors. Through the budget, Over 7 million seniors are receiving their pensions through a modern system. Curam software will be used for 4 projects. 6.6 billion is the amount that has been approved for the project. The member across the way is welcome to give me the names of those who are affected. We will help those people. The member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, there was once a time when Liberals told Quebecers, you must stay in Canada or else you won't receive your pension anymore. Now the government's telling seniors, stay in Canada even though you won't receive your pension. And to top it off, we're all going to pay a fortune for this fiasco, including seniors they're going to pay because the Curam software has gone over budget by almost $5 billion. That's a high price to pay for depriving retirees of their old age benefits. Why is it that every time the federal government gets involved, we end up with skyrocketing costs and no services? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Secretary of State just gave us the state of affairs. We are modernizing our systems. Now, seniors will be able to sign up for old age security. They will be able to receive their benefits on time, and they will receive the right amounts. If there are any individual cases, if any members in this place have heard of any cases, they are more than welcome to tell us about those cases so that we can follow up. Mr. Speaker, there have been a few isolated cases, a few isolated mistakes, and we are fixing that. The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, the minister said that 85,000 pensioners are having problems with their old age pensions because of the federal government. Now that 85,000 people are affected, it's time for the Liberals to stop treating this as if it were just isolated cases. Resources must be devoted to resolving these cases. The cases are piling up in Ottawa. The government must fix the problems with the Curam software. They must help public servants to better serve the public. And at the very least, the federal government must stop treating retirees' problems lightly. When will the government get to action for those affected? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, 7 million Canadians receive old age security benefits. The software that we use to pay out those benefits has been modernized. We are modernizing our way of paying out benefits, and this modernization will help people. Seniors will be able to sign up for their benefits online rather than having to line up at a Service Canada office or having to wait on the phone. 85,000 people, that's 85,000 too many. We can all agree on that. But, Mr. Speaker, we are fixing these cases.
St. Paul.
Last week, the Liberal government announced $2.3 billion in subsidies to buy electric vehicles. Electric vehicles manufactured in the United States will be eligible for this subsidy. It is inconceivable that the Liberal government would launch a multi-billion-dollar taxpayer-funded program that will directly benefit the American auto sector at a time that Trump's tariff war has cost Canada 5,000 jobs and counting in our auto sector. Will the Liberal government reverse course and stop American access to this $2.3 billion subsidy, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Indeed, good news. Last week we announced our auto strategy based on 2 objectives. First, making sure we support auto production here in Canada and supporting those who invest in us, so basically the companies that produce cars in Canada. And second, making sure that we embrace where the industry is, which is electrification, and where it's going. So, Mr. Speaker, apart from the Conservative, everybody has been in favor of it. Premier Ford, the unions, the industry, even environmentalists and consumer groups. Why don't they get?
The Honourable Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Who's also in favor of this, Mr. Speaker? Donald Trump. Because $2.3 billion is now accessible to his auto market when his tariff war is costing our economy thousands of jobs. It is, again, inconceivable that the Liberals would manufacture a program that gives billions of taxpayer dollars access to the American market. Why would we subsidize the American auto sector at a time like this? Will they reverse course, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister.
we have someone typing and not translating. I apologize. There's a mistake in the thing. I bet you she's saying, we will help. They are not helping.
When auto plants from American car companies were being closed, we embrace the Japanese automakers. We'll do that, and we will endorse those who build EVs.
The honourable member for Dufferin-Caledon.
The happiest person in North America when these Liberals announced their EV subsidy plan is Donald J. Trump. Yes. Let me explain. He has explicitly said he wants to take every single Canadian auto job and bring it down to the United States. And under these Liberals, he's succeeding. 5,000 auto workers have lost their job. The plant in Brampton that was supposed to build the Jeep Compass is now in the United States. So they are succeeding under these Liberals. Auto workers do not want their tax dollars going to subsidize American-made vehicles. Will the minister look them in the face today and say, no Canadian tax dollars will go to Trump's America to build vehicles?
The Honourable Minister.
You know what we do on this side of the aisle? We look at people in the eyes and we say, we'll defend your jobs. And that's exactly what this auto strategy is about. This auto strategy is about supporting auto production in Canada. And we are making sure that we're talking to Koreans, to Germans, to Chinese, to create good jobs in this country. And while we will just not let our industry just go bit by bit to the south, we will fight for these jobs. We have an auto strategy, and they should get with the program.
Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
I almost feel badly for this minister pathetically trying to justify sending money to Donald Trump's America to subsidize the production of American EVs. This is the president who has declared economic war on Canada. He has said he wants every single Canadian auto job in the United States. And under these Liberals, he's succeeding. The Canadian auto economy is being decimated. Their plan, allow the American auto manufacturers access to Canadian dollars for EV subsidies. It's disgraceful. It's unconscionable. Will she apologize to Canadian auto workers for this terrible policy?
The
Honourable Minister.
Not because my colleague is just increasing his rhetoric that actually he's right. What is right is that we have met the tariffs by the U.S. administration against our auto workers with counter tariffs. And every time the production has reduced in Canada, what did we do? We made sure that we limit the market access to Stellantis by 50%, to also GM by 24.2%. We will invest in those who invest in us, and we will make sure to create good jobs in this country.
The honourable member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, Carney workers were devastated last year when they lost their jobs, but it got worse. Last week, they received their layoff payouts, only to see that more than half of it was clawed back in taxes. That's thousands of dollars, and many of them can't afford to wait for the next year's tax return. They need the money now to pay for their bills, their mortgages, their rents, and to put food on the table. So will the Liberals work with us, stand with Carney auto workers, and provide immediate tax relief so they can afford to live?
I think they should be given a lot of incentivization and stuff to build a Canadian car company.
The only party fighting against workers is the party opposite, who voted against the budget, wherein we outline the work that we've been doing to protect workers for exactly this situation, Mr. Speaker. And thanks to the proactive vision of the government to protect workers in these situations, workers who are separated from their employment now can keep their last pay. They don't have to wait for EI. And indeed, long-tenured workers, like many of these, will receive an additional 20 weeks on top of supports for readjustment, Mr. Speaker. We've been there for workers, we will be, and we certainly won't vote against them.
The honourable member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't get an answer to my question, but it's sadly ironic that while Canadian workers are losing their jobs, while they're seeing more than half of their payouts taken to taxes, the Liberals are out handing $2.3 billion for subsidies for American-made electrical vehicles. All this is happening while the U.S. is slapping tariffs on Canadian-made autos. Wow. Canadian tax dollars should not be funding American-made EVs. So my question is very simple. Why is money being taken out of the pockets of auto workers to fund American jobs?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, I know the member and I know he cares about those workers, as do we, Mr. Speaker. The Carney plant in Ingersoll is a half hour from my house. I regularly speak to Mayor Brian Petrie, who's doing an excellent job in very trying circumstances. Business owners who rely on the presence of the plant, I know them. The social agencies who are responding to the crisis on the ground, I know their leaders, I know their staff. We should work together on their behalf. He also knows, Mr. Speaker, that for the severance pay that he's referring to, the CRA is treating it as it always is, as a matter of Canadian law. The time is to put away politics. Let's work together on behalf of the people of Ingersoll and the auto sector.
The Honourable Member for Windsor West.
The Prime Minister has committed $2.3 billion to subsidizing EVs, yet most EVs sold in Canada are made outside our country. The Industry Minister herself admitted only one EV is made in Canada. Canadians are being forced to subsidize rebates for American-made cars, while over 5,000 Canadian workers have lost their jobs to U.S. tariffs. Why is the Prime Minister forcing Canadians to subsidize American-made EVs instead of putting Canadian workers first and adopting the Conservative plan to cut GST on all Canadian-made vehicles? Would not that make more sense?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Speaker, I would like to correct my colleague. There's not only one EV made in Canada, it's a Dodge Charger, of course, but also there's the Pacifica, and more to come. We have two battery plants. One also in Windsor, there against, we still don't understand why, which is an LG battery plant, and there's one that is being built as we speak by Volkswagen. Good news, 3,000 jobs coming to St. Thomas. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to our auto workers, we'll continue to fight for them. We won't sit idle while basically a lot of the industry is going through its most difficult period in decades. We'll fight for them.
The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes, Verchères. Mr. Speaker, we criticize the federal government for doing nothing to address the issue of low-cost drivers. But it gets worse. Not only is Ottawa doing nothing to address the issue, they are giving those drivers contracts. Canada Post has done business with at least 25 companies that hire low-cost drivers, including one that was involved in a fatal accident. And the worst part is that the federal government was warned about this 2 years ago by the Trucking Alliance. When will the Liberals set up a registry of sketchy companies instead of hiring sketchy companies? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Post Canada is, of course, working with many trucking companies throughout the country. The CEO of Canada Post has assured us that the business in question uses the Driver Inc. model. There is a clear code of conduct for these companies to follow, and there are consequences if they do not follow the code of conduct. And we, as the federal government, are ensuring that Canada Post follows the rules. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes, Verchères. Mr. Speaker, Canada Post has hired 25 companies that do business with low-cost drivers. The Liberals have been aware of the problem for at least 2 years. We offer the Liberals 10 solutions. Not only do the Liberals refuse to implement our solutions, but they're continuing to feed the beast. At this point, the Liberals have gone beyond just turning a blind eye. They are now complicit. The Liberals just gave Canada Post $1 billion. Can they at least make sure that that money doesn't end up in the pockets of problem companies?
Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canada Post is proud to work with many trucking companies across the country. In doing so, the CEO of Canada Post has assured us they have no engagement with Drivers Inc. model. All contracted suppliers are provided with clear expectations, a code of conduct to abide by, and consequences for non-compliance. We, as a government, expect Canada Post to abide by these standards. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, last week, the member for Beauport-Limoilou told us in this place that the cost of the tramway in Quebec City was now up to, get this, $13 billion. Yes, Mr. Speaker, $13 billion. That's $5 billion more than what's outlined in the agreement between Quebec City and the Caisse de dépôt. Can the Minister of Finance confirm whether the cost of the Quebec City tramway is $7 or $7 billion or $13 billion, as the member for Beauport-Limoilou said?
Monsieur le Président, merci pour la question.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for the question.
Investment of $1.44 billion from the federal government, and we continue to invest significantly in public transit across the country. The Canada Public Transit Fund as well as the Building Community Strong Fund, where there is tens of billions of dollars available if this House supports the budget to allocate towards transit. So Quebec, other provinces, cities will have access to the Build Community Strong Fund with the support of this House to fund major transit projects. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, $1.4 billion, that's an amount from 9 years ago. We are way further than that now, and the member for Beauport-Limoilou said it will cost $13 billion.
Logos.
Will the Liberals follow their promise? Because in the budget, there's not a cent for public transit in Quebec for this project. So will Quebec City get $0, or can the Liberals commit to a certain amount today? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the member for Beauport-Limoilou has been here for 9 months and has done more for the tramway than that member has done for the tramway in 10 years. We've been supporting the tramway project since 2018, and unlike the member across the way, says it will be $1.4 billion. That's what we are committing to this public transit project for the Quebec City region. Now, of course, we are still in talks for funding for Quebec through the Public Transit Fund, and there will, of course, be funding through the Building Community Strong Fund.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Basca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The same Liberal mismanagement is repeating itself like a bad movie. Do you remember Arrive Canada in 2022? The budget, $86,000. The actual cost, $60 million. 5 years later, same Liberal team. IT scandals are repeating themselves with Curam. Budget, $1.6 billion. Actual cost, $6.6 billion. And what's more, it's a failure. 86,000 seniors are waiting for their money. 86,000 seniors. What do you tell these seniors who are listening to you? Am I writing? Well, your answer is live right now. I don't have an answer to give you. I confirm to the Honourable Member, I don't have a reply. The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors. More than 7 million seniors are receiving their benefits on time, and these are 4 distinct projects. $6.6 billion have been set out and approved for the life of the project. I would ask the member across the way to give the names of these seniors, and we will help them. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Côte-du-Sud, Rivière-du-Loup. Mr. Speaker, in Quebec, we've all seen cost overruns with Sac Leak site. Hundreds of millions of dollars gone up in smoke. But this is peanuts compared to the federal Curam fiasco. $6.6 billion instead of $1.75 billion for a failed software program that was supposed to manage old age pensions and doesn't even work properly. Currently, there's 86,000 seniors who aren't receiving their money because of this Liberal incompetence. The Liberals are still wasting billions, and Canadians are always paying the price. When will this government finally, what will they do with this federal fiasco? Thank you. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to tell Ms. Bolduc, who's listening to us, or the constituents of all these ridings, one case too many. We're going to solve all these issues for Madame Bolduc and everyone. We will give them the benefits they have the right to receive, and we are modernizing our IT infrastructure, and it will serve Canadians well. It will allow for better service going forward and quicker access to old age security. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord.
Breaking news, Cuba.
Mr. Speaker, the new Curam software for managing old age security benefits is a real disaster. Not only does it exceed the projected costs, but it works so poorly that employees give it a rating of 5 out of 10 or less. In fact, according to one employee, if the department had listened to its agents, it could have developed a system that was 1,000 times easier to use. Why should seniors suffer the consequences of this mismanagement by the Liberals? The Honourable Minister.
Correct. There aren't cost overruns. In fact, the project is on budget, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, 7.4 million OAS clients were migrated in March of 2025. Seniors can apply directly online. This is a 60-year-old system, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, Canadians expect us to keep our IT systems modernized, and that's exactly what we're doing. If the member opposite has a constituent that needs help, please give them our name. We can certainly accelerate their case.
The honourable member for Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
The United States government has unilaterally started a trade war against Canada.
Chaos in the house.
So we'll have the honourable member.
I don't know what
the honourable member
in the house today.
We'll have the honourable member start from
Last
the top.
week.
We'll start from the top.
A lot of days he's been missing.
Yes, you can start from the top.
The United States government has unilaterally started a trade war against Canada. In response,
there's obviously a subtext here somewhere.
he's always yelling at us.
But let's put that aside. Let's put that aside. In good faith. In good faith. I don't want to call anyone out on this side either. So the honourable member from Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
All right, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3. Three's the charm.
Unilaterally started a trade war against Canada. In response, the Prime Minister is committed to doubling non-U.S. trade with direct measures to help Canadian businesses adapt and grow. Can the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources tell this?
This is going to make the question period a little lengthier than I had anticipated. I was going for a new record today, 303 or 304, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I guess anyway, we're going to give it another shot, and we have to, or else this is going to go on for a long time. We'll cut into committee time and everything. So the honourable member for Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas has the floor.
As I was saying.
And let's see if we can get through it. And of course, that doesn't help either. So we'll try from the top.
From the top. The United States government has started a trade war against Canada. In response, the Prime Minister is committed to doubling non-U.S. trade with direct measures to help Canadian businesses adapt and grow. Can the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources tell this House what our government is doing to support Canadian businesses impacted by unjustified American tariffs? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for that excellent question. We are standing shoulder to shoulder with workers and businesses facing the impacts of unfair and unjustified U.S. tariffs, with targeted support to help businesses adapt, retool, and stay competitive. That includes $1 billion through the Regional Tariff Relief Initiative, which is helping businesses protect jobs and diversify to new markets. Mr. Speaker, we're not just helping businesses weather this moment, we're building Canada strong.
Yeah. The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have been disappointed to see that this Prime Minister is not delivering on his promises. Now, he promised the strongest economy in the G7, but we lost 52,000 private sector jobs last month. He promised to build at speeds unseen in generations. We're actually losing jobs at speeds unseen in generations. Now, Conservatives have offered solutions like the Canadian Sovereignty Act and the Conservative Youth Jobs Plan, which Liberals continue to oppose. Mr. Speaker, when will they reverse course and start creating jobs instead of more job losses?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, Conservative slogans, rhetoric, and obstruction don't feed Canadian families.
We've cut taxes for 22 million Canadian families. We cut the GST for first-time homebuyers. We cut the consumer carbon tax. And just a couple of weeks ago, we announced the Canadians Groceries and Essentials benefit that will put up to $1,900 in the pockets of working families. On this side of the House, we're going to continue to be laser-focused on affordability for families. That side, stop the obstruction.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, I truly have no idea what that member is focused on, but my question was about the results of their policies. Now let's talk about the results. 52,000 private sector job losses, 28,000 in manufacturing alone. That's just in the last month. He talked about the price of food. We have food inflation in this country that's more than double food inflation in the United States. Mr. Speaker, if this member can't answer a question about the results, when will he look at those Statistics Canada reports? And if he sees the problems that every other Canadian can see, when will they reverse course?
Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, that Conservative leader and that member, think about this. They actually supported giving millionaires child benefit checks.
That's right.
They supported giving millionaires child benefit checks. Let me say that again. They voted against the school food program. Every other affordability program we have put forth, they have voted against. That party is focused on obstruction. We're focused on delivering for Canadian families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are losing jobs, plants are shutting down, and investments are fleeing. Canada lost 52,000 private sector jobs last month alone. Workers and families are paying the price, from GM employees in Oshawa to forestry families in Quebec who are struggling to put food on the table. This is the opposite of what the Prime Minister promised. When will the Liberals admit that their rhetoric is far from their reality of Canadians face and finally listen to common sense Conservative solutions?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
134,000 jobs created in the past year. Wages outpacing inflation for almost 3 years. A rate of inflation that is well within the Bank of Canada's guidelines at 2.4%. But we will not rest on that, Mr. Speaker. We cannot, because the aim now must always be to secure Canada's future. Budget 2025 puts a foundation for that in place. Will the Conservatives join us? Put the politics aside. Let's work on behalf of our constituents. Let's work on behalf of Canada right now.
The honourable member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, and yet GDP growth is currently zero. Manufacturing, auto, and forestry sectors are all declining, and families in Haldimand, Norfolk fear for their livelihoods as the economy weakens. Despite this economic decline, the government has not repealed a single anti-development law. When will the Liberals finally admit that their economic plans is failing and remove the barriers and tax burdens holding back Canadian workers and the economy?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Almost 240 agreements signed between the federal government and various municipalities, large and small, for the Housing Accelerator Fund, Madam Speaker. They want to talk about getting things done and anti-development. Listen to Liberals, that's fine. They can listen to former Prime Minister Harper, who just the other day advised all members of Parliament to work together on behalf of this country. The time is now. Let's rise to the occasion. It's a moment of crisis, a moment of rupture. We can respond right now.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Speaker, Newfoundland and Labrador continues to face one of the highest unemployment rates in Canada at 10.7%, well above the national average. Statistics Canada reports that 52,000 private sector jobs were lost since last year, and the Bank of Canada says economic growth next year is expected to be just 1.1%. Businesses are delaying expansion and investment. At home, that means fewer projects, fewer jobs, and more people leaving to find work. When will this Prime Minister admit his economic plan is failing, listen to our solutions, and remove the barriers that are preventing job creation for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
I have good news for this member. In Budget 2025, we are growing this country. We are growing rural Newfoundland. Newfoundland and Labrador and the rest of Canada. We are working to invest in our apprenticeship programs. We are building roads, schools. The challenge, Mr. Speaker, is this member, as part of the opposition, is obstructing at every step.
Right.
Let's grow Canada. We need to work together.
Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, the fact remains that the Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, yet GDP growth stalled at zero and GDP per capita was flat. Young people are leaving home because they can't find steady work. We have proposed a Canadian Sovereignty Act that would rapidly advance resource development by repealing job-killing laws like the oil and gas emissions cap, reward those who build, and protect Canadian innovation. So when will they listen to our ideas so people can stay, live, and work in the place that they love?
The Honourable Minister.
I'm going to remind the member opposite from Newfoundland and Labrador that voting against the bills that support Canadian workers, Canadian communities, the building of our country and our province of Newfoundland and Labrador is obstruction. If this member wants to see our province of Newfoundland and Labrador grow, I can tell her that we are ready, but this side of the House needs to work with us.
The Honourable Member for Mission Matsqui, Abbotsford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Small businesses are paying the price for the Prime Minister's economic inaction. In January, 52,000 private sector jobs were lost, and $39 billion in investment has fled to the United States. Wow. Canadian businesses are delaying expansion, and workers are losing their livelihoods. The Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, but growth is flat, and not a single anti-development or major regulation has been removed by this government. So when will the Prime Minister empower the private sector to build at a scale necessary to protect Canada's economy in the face of American threats?
The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Speaker, the Prime Minister has a plan to build Canada. He's laid it out, and we're taking action to advance that. Because individuals in British Columbia, they want to see the investments that we're making. They want to see the major projects move forward. They want to see the new housing, and they want to see us grow this economy to the strongest economy in the G7. Mr. Speaker, we're moving forward with this plan. Can we count on the Conservatives to join us?
Honourable Member for Northumberland, Clark.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, yet under his watch, $58 billion of net investments have fled to the United States, and we've lost 28,000 manufacturing jobs. Promising to build a pipeline is not enough. Creating a new bureaucracy, not enough. Reapproving projects over and over again, not enough. We need shovels in the ground. We need them in the ground now. When will the Prime Minister do what he promised and build at a scale we haven't seen in generations and work with Conservatives to stand up for our sovereignty against the American threat?
Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, 160,000 new jobs created since September. Wages are up. Inflation is within the standard rate. Mr. Speaker, we know that certain sectors like auto are feeling the pain from the tariff war, but we have a plan, Mr. Speaker, a plan that was laid out in our budget that was introduced in the fall, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, the Conservatives are blocking the budget at committee. If that member wants to make a difference for workers in his community, pass the budget, Mr. Speaker, so we can unleash the power, build in this country, protect jobs, support communities, build our country, Mr. Speaker. Will the member do it? Will the Conservatives do it?
The Honourable Member for Cloverdale Langley City.
I just attended an event hosted by Speak BC with a room full of highly trained engineers and technologists. They were asking whether the next round of manufacturing investment will stay here in Canada or go to the U.S. They want solutions so that their jobs are secure. StatsCan says we lost 28,000 jobs last month in manufacturing alone. That's fewer shifts, tighter budgets, and more families struggling to get by. The government has to recognize that what it's doing isn't working. When will the Liberals listen to our constructive solution to this urgent problem?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, building a strong economy is not just about looking at any single sector. It's about looking at all sectors. So making sure we're investing in the economy of the future today, make sure we're investing in technology, making sure that we are investing in artificial intelligence, make sure we're creating the jobs of the future in industries where Canadians can lead. So as we work to support our manufacturing sector, Mr. Speaker, we're also making sure that in health sciences, in life sciences, in biotech, in technology, in e-commerce, in digital, in AI, in quantum, Canada is going to continue to lead and create the jobs of the future today.
None of that.
The honourable member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Mr. Speaker, a functional healthcare system relies on modern data infrastructure. However, at a time when data is circulating at lightning speed, too many doctors and nurses are still forced to use outdated technologies such as fax machines to share information about their patients. Can the Minister of Health inform the House of the steps the government is taking to remove these barriers and thus save lives? Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. The time that patients wait for their files to be transferred means that lives could be saved faster, and their doctors are still spending too much time printing documents and not enough time helping people. The Connected Healthcare System Act that we tabled last week will break down silos and build a data infrastructure for health for all Canadians. So I am delighted to be working with members of Parliament and senators to get this legislation adopted. Thank you.
Branch South, Six Nations.
Mr. Speaker, extortion is a national crisis, exploding 330% since these Liberals took office. In Surrey, Calgary, Brampton, and across Canada, Canadians are being threatened, shot at, firebombed while criminal gangs and violent non-citizens extort families, all thanks to Liberal inaction. Will the Prime Minister support our plan, even supported by the NDP Premier of BC, to bar extortionists and serious criminals from exploiting refugee claims, or will he continue shielding criminals while Canadians pay the price, often with their lives?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, we've been meeting those who have been impacted by extortion, and I want to extend my condolences to those who have been impacted. Let me just say, Mr. Speaker, we need to work in collaboration in order to ensure that extortion is addressed. We need the party opposite to pass critical pieces of legislation, including C2. Virtually every law enforcement agency, every heads I've spoken to have asked for lawful access to become law in Canada, Mr. Speaker. It's one of the most important tools to ensure that extortion is addressed. We need to stop the obstructionism and make sure that we have critical tools that are important for law enforcement.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Software. I'm pausing it. I have new software. So the issues of the last week or whatever, mostly good. Now, it's been almost 2 hours on this feed, and it hasn't made any errors. So I think I got that part with it. But yeah, I like MP Brock. His job as an opposition grind, you know what I mean? I enjoy the way he does that. He's really good. He's the committee guy. He's good at really committee, and when he finds, or when the Conservatives find a scandal, Canadian scandal, of course, I think that's where his best thing is with MP Brock. Maxwell, the Clintons are showing. I seen. I heard. I read. We'll say the Clintons are going to appear on in that. So yeah, they weren't. They haven't already. I'm not sure exactly, to be honest. I don't think, honestly, to tell you the truth, I think we got all we're gonna get. Basically, what everyone knew, that a lot of people are on the list, and it'll shock you. Trump isn't on the list. I didn't think he was on the list. I don't think he was that. Because when Trump, remember, everyone forgets what happened. I don't know this for sure, but remember when the first arrest happened? Trump kicked him out. This is before he was arrested or anything. Trump kicked him out of his golf club. Now, this isn't a guy you kick out of your golf club, right? First of all, because he was an investment magnate, right? You kick him out of your golf club in Fort Lauderdale, you're going to have problems. You're not just going to get away with that when you get someone like this, right? you're going to lose members, you're going to lose this and that. And remember what happened. Augusta, whatever that fella who gave him the sweetheart deal, was working for Trump, and then when Trump found it out, he kicked him out. Trump didn't kick anyone out of his. That's the only guy, Acosta, whatever. I'm not sure recall his name. And there's also evidence that came out the first time with Trump, and I'm not trying to defend Trump on this, except I looked at the evidence. This is more the reason I'm like, maybe it wasn't so bad. What happened is there was evidence that he was giving information on Epstein on the first original trial. He gave up evidence. He kicked him out before he was arrested. He kicked him out of his thing. He faced backlash. And then the only thing that came out with the Epstein against Trump was that he was working with a guy, some writer, Wolf, to take down Trump. So I know, you know what I mean? We all thought this and that because kind of how Trump is. But I don't think Trump had a problem. I don't think Trump had to call a guy like Epstein to you know what I mean? To what was that one? Stormy, right? Like he didn't have a problem. Trump didn't have that problem. You see, a lot of the people on the list were people who may have had power or money, one or the other, not both. Trump had both. And so usually you don't, you know what I mean? And Trump was willing to date Stormy, right? Whatever was Stormy. So his bar was like pretty good enough, right? So that's my opinion. I don't know anything, but Acosta, and he kicked him out. He was like, if you go look back in time, when he had an announcement. And Acosta was standing beside him, and he's like, "Oh no, he's good at his job." And then, like when the reporters gave out information, you seen him surprised, and his face was like, I thought he was going to blast the reporter, but he went very nice to the reporter. He spoke nice to the reporter, and I think his anger wasn't directed at the reporter; it was at the guy. You know what I mean? And then he was gone. Like I said, everyone that think there was no, it didn't seem to be that case. It seemed to be other individuals, and that's my opinion. And anything that comes out, I don't expect jail time and all this stuff. You're just going to frustrate yourself. Like what happened to all these other organizations? Remember from the 80s, it just quietly went away, and then now we don't hear about it because they stopped. Right? That's how I believe how it works with the wealthy, like it or not. They, it seems different. They have a different. Anyway, I don't want to go over it in detail because I do believe we're getting at 3 million pages, a long list of people that there's a lot of people. Chomsky surprised me, another guru guy, health gurus, and all these. There's a few people on the list that were like pretending to be very, they weren't. See, Trump. Everyone knew what Trump was, and so if you were doing things like that, he wouldn't be like that. He would be like all these people on the list. Oh no, I'm an innocent person. I believe in saving the environment. Trump was a crass, brass guy willing to do it with porn stars, right? Anyway, I don't want to shut up. He'll fire anybody. That's part of his MO. But he didn't do a major throw under the bus like he did to Acosta. You just look at what happened there. You do what you want. All right. Sorry, I digress. It seems to be a topic, but I just Q. They say we got what we can get. And you just be happy with that. It's probably stopped, and there probably will be no more intelligence agencies doing that. Next thing that Trump's working on is the hard drugs in Canada, and we all know the intelligence agencies and all around the world are doing that because we know from Operation whatever Reagan was Contra. We know that the intelligence. So that's the next. Okay, first we got the despicable that agency, whatever they were doing with that EpiPen guy, and then the number 2 is what they're working on is getting these drugs out of these intelligence agencies as like he said, Amanda's poor creature. I know. When the law becomes despotic, morals are relaxed, and vice versa. Balzac. And that's where I think is where we're at. Our morals are going. You just look at our artists. They're like, most of them are naked just to get attention on stage. Our morals are going down, and because our laws are not being enforced, as the lawmakers are going despotic. They're not all bad. They're not all evil, but it's going towards the devil. Drugs, and rock and roll is the devil. It's fun to dip your toes once in a while, as that one band said, but I believe it has gone to a point where it's actually going in the other direction, and like it or not, Trump is the only one who's been able to be effective. I don't know nothing though. You know what I mean?
Mr. Speaker, extortion has surged by 330% since the Liberals took office. Across our country, Canadians are under attack, and the Liberals are rejecting conservative plans to stop this violence. Now, convicted extortionists are exploiting loopholes in our justice and immigration system by filing refugee claims to stay in Canada. Will the Liberals back our conservative plan, also supported by the BC NDP Premier, to bar non-citizens convicted of serious crimes from making refugee claims, or will they continue to side with the criminals?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, the second bill that we brought in this Parliament was C2. C2 addressed this very issue and also provided other measures like lawful access. I'm glad to see that the Conservatives have somewhat cooperated and split that bill into C12, which is now in the Senate, which will create an ineligibility for precisely these types of people who try to exploit our system. Mr. Speaker, they will no longer be able to apply for asylum, but I'd like the members opposite to also cooperate on lawful access, because we need to catch these criminals.
Honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals voted against a Conservative amendment to Bill C-12, which would have barred non-citizens who are convicted of serious crimes from abusing our asylum system and making refugee claims. They voted against that. That's crazy. Will the Liberals agree with Premier David Eby that that is an amendment, that is a proposal that should be accepted, as well as non-citizens who are accused of serious crimes should not be able to make refugee claims, because that's kind of bananas?
I think she's kind of, this conservative part has lost the plot. An accusation is nothing. I can accuse anybody of anything. The problem we have right now is social media. People believe everything on social media, and social media is all about the accusation. So basically what she's saying is allow the power, and it's usually the powerful. Remember, and I mean powerful or money. So if I have money, I can get the advertising out there online. If I have it, like through bots, through little advertising, pay influencers, right? Small, medium, and large influencers. Or if I already have a platform, you take in money, you can just accuse somebody. And that's where we're at right now. That's part of what we're doing to each other, why I believe what the problem is with the West. And you got to let it just go through, because a lot of it's just BS. Pass through you. And this idea, this is why I disagree with her, because it's being accusations are now being weaponized, and politicians have been doing this forever. Why do we have weak politicians? I believe is because what happens is if there's a politician who's about to do something that's going to piss off a money interest or an institute or something, all they had to do was smear them. That's it. They just had to smear them. And Trump, they hate Trump so much because they've smeared. They're like, we do that. They're like, haha, we got him. We're talking 2016. First of all, the Republicans were like, we got him. We've smeared him. And it didn't work. People were like, yeah, I like what he's saying. And eventually he crushed them all on the debate stage. And he got people out to vote that hadn't voted in their life. 55-year-olds who hadn't voted in their life were like, finally. Because they've seen, like, this guy is the only one. He isn't perfect. We all know this. But he isn't, you know what I mean? He didn't go down in the smear campaign like they all BS. We look at the list of the Epstein list. Every one of the lists that I seen, there were, well, not all of them on the list, but a big majority of the list were people that were prim and perfect and this and that and doing these vile things to young people, right? Probably boys as well. I don't think that, that came out. not just girls, it's boys and girls, you know. And so that's how they were. And then they were like, okay, we got the plan on Trump. What we're going to do, because the regular smear, Stormy Daniels, didn't work. He had sex with a beautiful girl who you know, got paid for showing herself. That didn't work, and they were very frustrated. And that got the media. They're like very upset, and so of course the politicians were very upset. They're like, you know, hey, we all get upset when our power. I know what happened to me when I told someone, asked them to do something, and I just assumed they would do it, and they didn't. I'm like, I have no power, and I got all upset. I'm like, wait a second. I had to think, wait a second. Why am I upset? That's their choice too, or to not. I just wanted them to, you know what I mean? And our relationship was a friend, like work kind of thing. It's like, can you just help me out and do that? And no, I can't. And I'm like, what? I just, you know, my power is not over them, right? Okay, I'll pay you, right? And so that is what happened. Their power was taken from them. They're like, intelligence agencies wrote a dossier, right? They're like, okay, we're going to get him. After he was president, we're going to get the intelligence agencies who we know were using Epstein, who we know from Contra, from Reagan days, were selling drugs to the American people, to black neighborhoods, selling crack to black neighborhoods, to fund Contra, right? This isn't like hyperbole. This is fact. And then, so what did the intelligence agencies do? They made a baloney. Sorry, I apologize for swearing. They made a fake dossier against this individual, weaponizing the intelligence agencies and not quite the law. And that didn't work. Boof. So a lot of journalists are intelligence agencies. The entertainment industry, who some are, we already know from that guy, that game show, the Gong Show, right? Intelligence agencies are entertainment. We know all this, right? And they're like, oh my God, my power isn't working. They are freaking livid that this guy is taking it and continues to. And then they were like, okay, all of that didn't work. We slandered him with having sex with beautiful, sultry, whatever women. We threw this at him. We threw that at him. He's shameless. He kept on going. He attacked us, and it was funny. And people are still following him. We threw the intelligence agencies at him. We're going to put him in jail for, I think it was supposed to be over 100 years in jail. 130 years in jail. 92 charges. And the charges were never laid on someone before. Like the one was, he said he over-evaluated his own property. Like what he said, his property was worth more. Well, the bank, all they had to do was say, okay, that's what you say it is. Okay, we'll send out our own arbitrator, whatever the person, appraiser. We'll send out our own appraiser to Mar-a-Lago. But they didn't bother. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Here's the loan. They knew he was going to pay. He paid back the loan. Everything was fine. The bank was fine with it. But they said, you said it was worth more than that. We think it's worth that. And it wasn't an appraiser. The government to arrest him didn't even use an appraiser. It was just an attorney for the government. We're going to put him away for 130 years in jail. Well, then we have the picture. He put that picture where he's like, you know what I mean? You look at it, it kind of scares me, startles me. And that didn't work. And they're like, well, we're going to get $200 billion. And then the last was they threw money. They tried money along the way, but real money. It was $200 billion that was spent against Trump, and it didn't work. So basically every single one of us, except the last one, was they threw slander at him. And if I'm going to use slander as to accept a person in or without the country, or to put or not put someone in jail, well, I'm sorry. That's not that bar ain't high enough in the law. And I don't mean to like give it to her as a big long tranche of baloney, but slander is that's what criminals do. That's what they do. Well, they'll just slander them, and the police are so overwhelmed. They're like, okay, that's a bad guy. We won't bother helping that person. This is how you crumble a nation. You just accuse it. And all of the accusers or the that weaponize this, and I see you people I see it, to destroy your channel, to destroy a business. All you got to do is accuse someone of something horrible enough. Then it's it. It's over. Well, I think we've had 40 years, 70 years of that, 80 years probably. 80 years of it, probably maybe I'd say since the 70s. And I think we've had enough of elite people who are institutions, businesses, just throwing out blank accusations and saying it enough that we've realized it's all BS. And let's get some people who can prove it with real proof. There's a burden of proof. You can't just accuse someone and say, no, we're not going to let them in. What do you mean? Of course, you should investigate with allowing someone in the country, but just saying, no, they've been accused of something. By who? By what? What do you mean? So we're not going to let them in? We looked online, and we found some facts that someone online accused somebody. And this is what we have here in this country. And it's a biggest problem. And that's why crap is rising to the top. They just haven't been caught yet. We all know this. Just look at the Epstein. All of them, 90% of the list are they were like squeaky clean individuals doing things that everyone kind of I know I go on it because I know I've received it, right? All we got to do is just get someone to accuse, and that's a beautiful thing. So I disagree with her 1,000%. Hey, we'll read my. I wrote a short story about the mutatarif of time. It's an Arabic word. Not the governor of Turkey, a Turkish governor, Ottoman governor. It's the other word, if you want to Google what it is. It's 5 parts. I think it's pretty interesting. I hope you enjoy. I wrote it a while ago. I'm going to start every weekend, I hope. I have a whole bunch of stories. And what I'm going to do is have a shortened, abbreviated one of all the stories I've already rewritten. So every weekend on this channel and maybe another one, I'm going to add these little short stories on the weekend that kind of, but not this one doesn't. This one a little bit with Maha. This one's kind of more Maha aligned. Nothing else really aligned. And of course, it's a fictional story. I don't know if you like it. No, I don't get anything for it. Right? It actually hurt my channel the last time. But anyway, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and let's listen to the last 5 minutes. And I don't mean to growl on her, rail on her, but I find that type, it really pisses me off that this keep people in the top through an accusation. And I don't, in this age, I think we need to start fighting back against absorbing everything and then regurgitating it like a parrot. We're not parrots. We are people. And when I want to say, next time when I hear something like an accusation, I just say the same thing. What proof do you have? Right? Oh, the proof is this person said something. Okay, great. Right? And what they did, look, against Trump, 92 accusations. They just throw lots of accusations. They get your head swimming. We're all eating 70% garbage food. We're all not ready. We have lots of things pulling at us. We're accepting a lot too much in social media, and that means that they got the control. And that I think personally is something I believe that I started this channel for one reason, for the working class. No one's working for the working class. The NDP aren't working for the working class. They're working for these very specialized groups, and most of them have purple or blue or this and that hair, which I agree that they should be helped. But I'm more of a holistic way of it, and I believe in helping all working class. If you don't have $1 million in the bank or you make under $80,000 a year, I want to work for that person. There's no lobbyist for them. Lobbyist. There's no one working for them. There are all these people trying to vie for their own money, and it really hurt my channel, especially when with the what was happening with the foreign interference. That was very bad. That was what happened. That was where it all really started. And other channels, just accusations. I see it on. I see you people come with accusation. No, he's got this laser treatments, buddy. Okay. I digress. I am not upset. I am a happy person. I'm going to read Balzac's story. Oh, damn, what's the name of this? What is his famous story? I'm going to Google it before, because I probably lost everyone now. You're like, oh, shut up, man. I know I should, but his famous story, for the one person that actually is listening. He was very prolific, but he wrote a short story, and it's like, I gotten through the first paragraph or two, and I haven't read the whole thing, but apparently this one has been the biggest story for starving artists, for going forward, how they push their body, mind, and soul so far to the point of breaking to create great art, to give there. And 1799 to 1850, he there's some great things. Come on. He is considered masterpiece as, okay, La Pierre Gua, a masterpiece exploring themes of love, money, ambition. Lost Illusions? No. Oh, The Unknown Masterpiece. He wrote it in 1831, a famous short story about the obsession with artistic perfection. It's an artist that they've given so much of themselves that they may not make it back. I don't know the end of it. It's very short. It's 2 chapters. But the first chapter, it's hard to read because it's so condensed. But I don't know if this individual, he really likes this person that I don't know where it's at, but it's very well written, amazingly. Though I'm reading, of course, the translated version, but I digress.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you for listening to me, Bob.
Mr. Speaker, I've been following these cases very closely, and the case in BC where some people have filed for asylum, C-12, which is in the Senate right now, progressing nicely, will make it an ineligibility for those particular claimants to be able to file for asylum. So we are closing those loopholes, Mr. Speaker. We're working tirelessly to make sure that extortionists get caught, but will the Conservatives help us to give law enforcement the tools that are needed? Please, I'm asking, C2 lawful access measures are needed in order to catch child pedophiles and extortionists, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Advancing gender equality is key to building a strong and prosperous Canada where everyone can succeed, while the Conservatives minimize coercive control as normal family behaviour and debate 2S LGBTQI rights at their convention. Our government is making sure our organizations across the country have the supports that they need. Can the Minister of Health share how we are empowering, strengthening national women's organizations across Canada? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Today, the Minister for Women and Gender Equality announced over $15 million in funding to support national women's organizations across the country and strengthen capacity building. This means a stronger and more sustainable national women's sector. It means greater capacity to support the organization driving progress on gender equality. It means stronger collaboration to advance opportunity, safety, and rights for women and girls everywhere. This is how we build a Canada strong, where we...
The Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, Hong Kong has sentenced newspaper publisher Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison simply for exercising his rights and freedoms of the press, of speech, of assembly, of association guaranteed in an international treaty, the Sino-British Joint Declaration. Will the government reiterate its call for Jimmy Lai to be immediately released? And secondly, will the government acknowledge that his imprisonment is a violation of an international treaty and international law?
MP Chong is the leader of foreign interference. They went against him and his family.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for his question. Canada is deeply disappointed with the tragic sentencing of Jimmy Lai in Hong Kong. We call for the immediate release of Jimmy Lai. In fact, we have consistently spoken out against the national security law since its imposition in 2020. While in Beijing, I reiterated Canada's long-standing position to my counterpart that the persecution of journalists, of media workers, of activists is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, Canada will always support a free...
The honourable member for Nunavut.
Before the election, Liberals plan to cut the Inuit Child First initiative. When Inuit heard this, they spoke up by the thousands. Under Nunavut's pressure, Liberals promised to extend the program. Since being elected, the Minister for Indigenous Services promised an announcement on ICFI. 9 months later, far too many Inuit children are still being kept below poverty level. Still no announcement. Will the minister finally act to help Inuit children, or should they feed themselves on her promises?
The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Services.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for, being really consistent with representing her members. The message has really been clear for me that we need to respond. That's why we've been working with our partners to look forward to see what the next step is going to be. I'm sure that you will be pleased to see what that is going to be. I am going to look forward to what the message is going to be when it comes out very briefly. Thank you.
And that concludes the question period. The honourable member for Vancouver East is standing up on a point of order.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. When my colleague, the member from Nunavut, was asking her question, a page actually walked across the aisle in front of her. And so I just want to bring that to your attention, Mr. Speaker, and ask whether or not we could have the member repeat her question.
I didn't notice. Was there an obstruction? Was there an obstruction there? No. I deferred to the.
Okay, so Mandy Shanagal-Masti, Canadian politician who has been Minister of Indigenous Services since 2025, of course. She was elected as the Member of Parliament for Abitibi by James Nunavut, EU, in Quebec. Before entering politics, she was Grand Chief of the Grand Council of the Crees from 21 to 2025. She had her first child at 14. Oh, wow. She's helping the country. 2 bachelor's degree, 1 in political science, 1 in public and community affairs. She's a worker, right? I know I forgot why I liked her because it's been over a year. But she's a worker. She's a hard worker. She's got I think her resume. She's northern. There isn't enough. Thank you for the thank you. There isn't enough Indigenous folks in our politics, in my opinion, and it's the reason why we have territories. If you look at why, like, territories and their rights and stuff, I really disagree with it. I think our government should be working every day, whatever it's going to take. I don't know everything that it's going to take, whatever it's going to take to change these territories into provinces, full-fledged provinces, and population increase will be required. It is a part of it. And how do you do that? You do developing. So there's yayas like me. I'll go up north. I freaking love the cold. They can go up north and go work, help build the population, and of course help the population up there grow. And that's housing. Food is pretty much available up north. It's the housing. Well, it's not the 100%, but food is second to housing, and then of course an economy. And I think that's where the biggest failure of the Liberals are, in my opinion. Housing is a problem file, but the biggest thing is they said they were going to work to keep this nation. If the administration from right now, the U.S. administration is doing our borders, it's going to happen with the next president and the next one, and it won't stop unless we do something to shore up our north. Churchill, Wab Kinew, the premier of Wab Kinew, good. I think he's our best premier right now. He's been saying, "Help me build Churchill, the gateway to the north. It's a deep water port. We can get ships." You know what I mean? They need an icebreaker. Nothing. How do we fix the housing problem without crashing the market in the area by building tons of homes? Churchill, up north. Whitehorse, Yellowknife. You know. And I think that lake, Great Lake, needs to have a name change. My opinion, I just don't like the name. I don't like it. It's a beautiful, huge lake, and it has a horrible name. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I'm sorry. It upsets me. Even when I was a kid, I read it. I'm like, what the? You name it after the Great Lake? Beep Lake? I'm not even going to say the word. Anyway, I know I digress. Thank you for watching. I didn't mean to be hard on the one MP on it. I just know how politicians have been keeping it.
I didn't see it. And there is activity in the House.
Wait. Look at these pages are like young. I think they're all like. I personally see it's great to have young people, but I don't believe that politics should be under 18. I don't. I understand their reason behind. Oh, we'll have kids, and then they'll grow. A lot of these children, and they get into politics and stuff. But I think it should be a serious business and a serious game. And it's nothing against these people. I just don't want to see children in the parliament. To my honesty, I would like to see, people, working in a job, a career, being the page, and it's put them behind the scenes or somewhere else. If you want to have an intern program, it's so cool. I'm cool with that. They should work for ministers to see how politics works behind the scenes. I think. I just disagree with this program. I know that they have to run around. It's like the tennis kids. They're picking up the strays, but it should be for this parliament, in my opinion. It should be the adult boring show, and it take as much out of it as you will.
I mean, we try to have the picture stay clear of people entering and exiting, but it is above all a parliament with pages and support staff, and so I'm afraid I won't be able to do that. Yeah, the honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Mr. Speaker, members of this place who are in unrecognized parties get a 35-second opportunity once a week. And I take members at their word. The member for Vancouver East, I wonder if it wouldn't be appropriate, we do it for each other all the time, is it appropriate to ask for unanimous consent for the member from Nunavut to place her question again?
I mean, I have to read.
Okay, so I don't know what they're doing here in this point or they want to give more time. She's talking about
all
more
those
green.
Opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay. Nay. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no agreement to move on.
One person said nay.
The honourable member did have a chance to ask her question. It was I thought, a fairly pointed question, and there was an answer delivered. The House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division.
Francis Scarpaleggi. Anyone else? No, that's it. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about it. I just was always found it weird. Like, why? Like, they should be in high school. They shouldn't be in the parliament, where it's like I don't know. I hadn't do my prayers before. I always do my. So we're gonna do it together. Leave if you will. If you are scared of being scared, my favorite prayer that isn't esoteric. It's very much in the open. Saint Francis of Assisi. I just like how I just have a lot of affinity. I like him. I like his storyline and all this. There's 2 Saint Francis of Assisi's movies. The first one, which is in the 60s, I like that one. And then there's the other one with Mick. Why is his name escaping me? The second one is jeez. Oh my God. You gotta bear with me here. Mickey, that's it. Mickey Rourke. That's why I couldn't remember. Jeez, I don't know what I had there. A little bit of a. So Mickey Rourke, and that Angel Heart movie was with Mickey Rourke as well. Mickey Rourke, and Robert De Niro is the devil, and he eats this egg, and it's obscene. It's like he does it very well. He's a great actor, of course. Though I digress, the Mickey Rourke does the second one in the 80s, and I was like, I wonder why I never heard of this. And I watched the movie, and there's male nudity in it. Like, male nudity? It was made in Italy, so, Italians are much more free with that stuff. So that's probably why I never heard of it, because it shocked me. It shocked me, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I've watched movies nowadays, rated R, whatever. I don't think the ratings are there, but and you just don't see that, actually, a flash of like some nipples and none of that. That's okay. No, but with seeing male, it was like, oh my God, this is obscene. I kind of feel funny. I was like, wow, I'm very not, and I'm happy for it. But it was a good movie, other than the jarring parts that were traumatic, to say the least. But I like the one in the 60s version as well. Like, you know what I mean? You watch them both. The St. Francis of Assisi's from, I think, 90 or 89 has certain aspects of him. And the 60s version has other aspects of him. They each, a lot of times when they do a remake, they kind of this is not. They're both 2 different movies, but they both are different aspects that are at least written about St. Francis of Assisi. It's actually, I recommend it, 2 movies, and to see the contrast. The second one is a bit more. You see his struggle, his force of will and struggle much more. It's like he, how he draws so deep and stigmata and stuff like that. And whereas the other ones, 60s, it's more bubbly, right? Colorful, I should say. Prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, it's a prayer for peace. Lord, make me the instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in parting that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And the harmonizer, and now on the harmonizer, he's a harmonizer person. He also believed in wildlife and treating animals well, and all, like I do. I feed the squirrels, I feed, you know what I mean? Whatever, call me a sapper, but I like it. Who doesn't like petting a wild, like, moose or something? I haven't pet a moose before, but, a deer and all that. It's kind of neat. Raphael, he wrote School of Athens that were painted. School of Athens, a bunch of other things he did. Raphael, right? You know, if you watch the Ninja Turtles, I think he was the red one. He's come out of fashion as Kenneth Clark, who is my ultimate teacher when it comes to art. He just amazes me every time. His way of teaching and being funny, with humor and with I have to actually put it down to 0.75 because he says so much information so fast. I have to slow it down. It makes it sound weird, but I watched this Civilization. So anyway, I digress. 16 times, and I'll continue to watch it over and over and over and over and over again because there's so much crammed in there. And Raphael, one of the Ninja Turtles, one of the great of artists, was the great harmonizer. And what he did, if you look at his works and why he fell out of favor, and we're talking from the 60s, in academia, of course. And he fell out of favor because of the harmonizing. He was he would try to bring the atheists and the Catholics, try to find a balance between them so they could discuss. He found a way with the Greek Platonists, and in the church, and found ways to harmonize both of their ideas to in a symphony. Through painting and sculptures and all this wonderful things. And that was his greatest ability was the harmonizing. And he did the Papal library, which I'd like to get my paws in there in the Papal library. Who wouldn't, eh? Ooh. And that's where the Athens is. And that's where he did there's pictures of Greeks in the Papal, the Pope's library, private library, and that was part of the harmonizing. There's a bunch of paintings in there, and that's just the one that I first, I've clung on to that one very, very, very tightly. It's such an amazing thing, and it leads you, just by looking at it and finding out who's who in it, is basically a liberal arts lesson plan that will cost you $20 in late fees. It's brilliant. It's just a brilliant thing all put together, and we've come to that, and that's the biggest problem I believe in our society, the West right now, even in China and in Russia. China's trying it really hard, being in harmony. That's how you get arrested in China. Which happened to Jimmy Lai, the Apple Daily Apple. He owned the Daily Apple paper. He basically was creating disharmony by covering the protests, right? Because when China took over, and it's the biggest, easiest way to go to jail, and under the CCP. I don't want to talk about Hong Kong, but in China, what they feel is an abhorrent human is someone who disharmonizes. But the way that they keep everyone in harmony is doesn't create harmony, in my opinion. It's the way Raphael did, and that takes time. You have to allow people to yell and scream until they're I have a headache and I'm not going to yell anymore, and then you can talk to them. They're just he's yelling and screaming, there's disharmony, arrest them. That's where I disagree. Of course, I believe in free speech, and so, but the world over, us disharmonizing with each other. Oh, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. What? Democrat or Republican? Politician? I'm gonna hate you for because I like this politician more than that politician. I'm sorry. I think that they have the toughest job, but I'm not gonna hate someone for someone I don't know. Who just gives me rhetoric. Google what rhetoric is. I think that they're trying it. Anyone else? I'll reboot. Yeah, see you later. Go away. I know it's working. Thank you. I verified it's working. I don't know what your problem is. You can watch at the end. So that's my thing of the day. It's Raphael. Good old Raphael. Ooh, geez, I got a lot of Raphael the Harmonizer. Robert De Niro, Raphael the Harmonizer. Robert De Niro as the devil and Angel Heart. Really good. There we go. We got let some color. It's all over, so we can. I don't know why. Looks like I gotten bigger. 19-inch arms. 19-inch arms for my exercise, but 3 times a day. It's tough. I took a day off yesterday, and I realized, oh my gosh, it's working because my anxiety is like so low, and I took yesterday off. I figured, okay, one day, and it went up to here, and like, wow! I wasn't like stressed or anything, but I felt I didn't feel centered like I have. So what I mean? Wow, it was an amazing thing. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a break. I felt my bones were getting pain, deep. So Robert De Niro eating an egg as the devil in Angel Heart. That's a scene. I don't know how he did it, but he's creepy. Good old De Niro. St. Francis of Assisi, the 2 movies. The one with Ricky O'Rourke, I recommend you watch the second. I watched that one first, and then the old 60s one. But it's better to watch the happier one and the dark. Well, maybe watch the 1989 one. It's a little bit darker. He struggle. He does a lot of struggling. And then the other one, actually, yeah, it's better to watch it the way I did. Watch the St. Francis of Assisi actually they're on YouTube. St. Francis of Assisi 1989 Mickey Rourke, and then the second one that is the 60s version, and it's really damn good. It's really good. I thought it was really good. So then you at least you feel okay about the world. You're not like, holy fuck. It's pretty hard on the stress. And then third is the accusation, the finger pointing is, I believe that's just tearing apart. And it only tears apart the 15% on each side. It tears apart the 15% of the conservative religious type person. And then 15% of the artistic, blue-haired, and LGBT person. It only destroys those people. The people in the middle, most of the time, not all. We always get captured by it because it's engaging. But the accusations is just it's basically it's taken out, like, the people that we shouldn't be taking out. I think that who that weren't or didn't accept an education enough, and I would definitely was a part of both sides of it. Like, I don't believe in hating someone for who they love. That's just fucked. Pardon my French. I don't care what the Bible says. My opinion on that is I'm not a judge for the Bible. That's a priest's job, not mine. So though of course I follow to myself, but I'm not no one else's. So I don't care what the. I'm a modern man in that case. But at the same time, I believe in going to church every Sunday and following as much as we possibly can the commandments and the letter of Roman Catholic Church of the Church. I had a spat with another church. Not a spat. I was cheating on my Roman Catholic Church with another church. I think that I came back to the Roman Catholic. It's the way that I was raised. And they did say in the church, when I was young, they says, oh, you'll leave the church and then you'll come back when you're older. And yeah, it's kind of true. Because it happened to me. And it happens to other people. I know. But that's just the thing. That the politics try to get the easiest people to get excited and do something against the other. And I think disagreeing with someone vehemently doesn't mean I have any anger towards them. And I think that is one thing I wanted to focus on about politics on the channel, unsuccessfully trying to heal it, of course. But that's it. Being able to take someone's opinion and not wanting to hurt them is very difficult to do. It's very difficult. We our passions get raised, and it's silly, it's foolish and childish. And as I think I've grown in politics, it's been become easier. I hear all kinds of ideas that I think are ludicrous. It's not easier. Like, I just kind of don't agree with that one MP that was like, well, an accusation is not a charge. An accusation is an accusation. Unsubstantiated accusations is what runs Facebook. That's how it works. Gets people upset. Oh, look at her. You know what I mean? Come on. You know? And the rise of private sleuthing is probably going to take us down. It'll probably take us down. It'll take us down, I mean the country, as if that continues to grow, right? Because that's a criminal activity, right? It will turn to criminal activity. I don't think it's always there now. Like, some of them to catch a, like, you know what I mean? Hey, you know, that's okay. But that doesn't mean that there won't be one who will have unscrupulous ideas and be like, well, let's just put something in the vault because I need ratings, right? I believe that detectives and police should be nameless and faceless. Have a number, but nameless and faceless, and not famous. You know, that's not a good thing. Fame is not good with the law. It's cold, it's boring, it's slow, it's trudging. It's monotonous. It shouldn't be exciting, bold, and famous, because fame is fickle, and fickleness is not what you need in the law, especially when you're dealing with other people's lives. I like that one Voltaire saying, I'd rather have a person stay free than condemn an innocent man. And that's, you won't get that if we continue to allow fame and this and that and to play with the law. That's my opinion. I know it's exciting and everyone thinks it's great, you know, but journalists, I think, is as far as it goes. They write a story on it. That's it. They do an investigation, they write a story, but they can get sued for slander, right? That's where it belongs. When you're starting to get these, like, fly-by-nighters, I think it's a potential for disaster, and it's taking crime to a level, it's lowering it to levels it shouldn't be. Though I watch that stuff too. My favorite one is the hackers, because I was getting hacked. I still am. I just accepted it. The level of hacking, I can't afford to fix the level of hacking. Like, when I wrote my stories, some of them on my computer, I know that there's like I've seen it. I'm like, how do you know that? I just wrote it, you know. I do PG stories, so. But I accept the level of hacking. So I like to watch those ones that go after the hacker companies, because that one's, like I said, has to do with me. The Catch a Predator, of course, those ones, a couple of them, but I can only watch it so much it hurts. It's not nice. It doesn't make me feel like, you know. And I don't know the whole story behind it, right? You just get their side of the story, and you get. What about the ones where they've, like, you know what I mean, where they got it wrong? We don't hear about that. It's next story. You know what I mean? That's, to me, is problematic. Though, you know, I think a lot of them, their heart's in the right place, like, understandable. I just think it's, you know, my opinion means nothing. And then what else was the capture of the day? No Pierre today. Why was there no Pierre Pulver? I don't know where he is. He doesn't have an itinerary page, so I don't know his itinerary. And meeting out justice. There's one. I'm not gonna. Meeting out justice is designed for. That's what the law's for. I don't know why. Air Canada is stopping all flights to Cuba because Cuba put out a NOTAM. Basically to all pilots saying you may not get fuel. We're running out of fuel in our airports. So basically no one's flying. Air Canada definitely cancels, but Sunwing is flying, and the other one, Sunwing, and the other one those things, the other Canadian tourist whatever charter company, they're flying empty planes to Cuba to get their people out. So, so they can have the fuel because there'll be weight and all that stuff. So there's that going on. It's Cuba's running out of fuel. I don't know. Give them another month, and then send in all the Cubans from Florida to take down that government. I don't think it'll last that much longer. I think by the summer, the Cuba regime will be no more. The Iran regime is on. They are like pissing off President Trump. They're pissing him off, and they're playing with Kushner and Witkoff, trying to talk about nuclear deal. And they said, listen, it's not about the nuclear deal anymore. It's about your missile programs. It's about how you're treating your people. It's about all of these things. It's about your funding, which we consider terrorist organizations. All these things are like, no, we don't want to talk about that. They're like, do you not understand what level is going on here? Do they think that the Nobel Peace Prize means that much to POTUS Trump or getting rid of Iran? What do you think? An Iran regime that said death to America for how many years? What do you think he wants more? I don't know. I think it's the new regime, my opinion. Blah, 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 blah. And what else do we got on the news? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know who's in the mind of POTUS Trump. But that definitely they restarted like major protests, and those people are brave because there's randomly shooting, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad over there. Their king in exile has been doing some pretty good jobs. I don't want to make his. I want to say Faisal. Of course, it's not Faisal. That's a few generations ago. Oh. Well, Prince is his name. Yeah. Reza Pahlavi. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He's been doing some speeches and going in. He says he's eventually going to go when he can sneak into the country. But he's getting support from England. I think he's getting the support from the West. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll like take a section of if the rockets and stuff like that start flying, maybe he'll take a section or city, you know what I mean? Once it's been secured by the protesters, maybe he'll claim a city and then it'll grow from there. I don't know. Something like that. It seems that the regime is really fighting. But also what Bessett said, which Bessett has been talking about Alberta a little bit, separation a little bit too freely. I would wish he would just slow that rhetoric down because it really hurts him politically. Canada and businesses tied with a lot of Canadian businesses are American owned, so it pisses off the business. You know what I mean? It just doesn't help. It doesn't help their cause, in my opinion, obviously, because I'm in Canadian too. But I like Bessett. I really enjoy the way his rhetoric is and stuff like that. It's just one, right? But Bessett basically said on Iran, I should get the quote. Beat it. I got beat it. I guess I shouldn't have said that. I said I like. Oh yeah. He's saying they're leaving. They're fleeing. That's how he said. He said the rats are fleeing the ship. He's saying because he's the Treasury, right? He knows everything about money, and he's really good at he handled lots of money stuff. He knows his stuff, right? He's not like he knows his stuff when it comes to money moving and stuff like that. And he says they're seeing a lot of money leave the country. He says there's tons of money and assets and all these things that are fleeing the country. So most likely what they're doing is what I'm surmising. Who knows what the hell? I'm guessing that that the regime and the IRGC are pillaging as much as they can. Everything that's bolted down, they're taking. Banks, they saying, are getting depleted of their assets. He's saying banks are being, like, he says they're being emptied, and that's happening right now. So I think what's happening is they're getting it out, flying in planes, flying everything, all the gold and all that stuff, as much assets that are bolted down, everything, and they're slowing down the talks so they can get as much as they can. I don't know where it's all going, and they didn't say that. That's intelligence stuff. It's wherever, it's probably worldwide, right? It'll be probably here, in Canada. Canada, I don't believe has done anything with IRGC. So they're leaving, the money's leaving, and it's just they're trying to slow it down so they can get more stuff, But that's about it. I like, subscribe, and comment. Have a good night. I'm for the working class who likes church. Well, where does that fit?